Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Today y Mañana. I'm Alex. This is Michael. We're very excited to have you joining us on a beautiful morning.
Beautiful morning,
here in Charlottesville,
but
Virginia.
too much pollen out there.
It is.
I mean, I woke up today with allergies. I got seasonal allergies, but I know my allergies were bad this morning. So I said, man, if mine are bad, I can't imagine what Alex's are this morning.
Let's just say I am heavily medicated right now. I am heavily medicated.
Not too much, though. You didn't take too much Benadryl.
I don't take Benadryl. Just,
you don't get that Benadryl.
People don't want me going,
okay.
Crazy on air, being,
You go crazy for the first 30 minutes, and then the last 30 minutes you sleep. You know?
Exactly. Just Benadryl, you never know what happens if you take too much. No, but a lot of Zyrtec, a lot of Flonase.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Washing the eyes out.
We just got to prepare our viewers in case there's a couple of times where Alex and I suddenly dart off camera and then come back. It's probably because we had to sneeze or blow our nose.
If you see me go like this, it's not because I'm crying or because I'm upset with Michael. It's the allergies.
Exactly.
It is out there. But it is warm. It looks like it's going to be a
spring day. Very nice spring day.
Not too humid.
Exactly.
So everything that we love about Charlottesville in the spring, minus the
pollen.
Minus the pollen.
Man, I was telling Jerry before, I said, it's like you go to the car, and I was like opening the car door, and it was almost like
dust,
so thick. It was like dust. I'm like, man, this is bad. I got to wash those cars.
It really is. And we need, I hate to ruin people's weather, but we need a good rain dump. We need a nice big rain dump, maybe for half a day, and then
wash it away.
Yeah, call it quits for a while. But we'll see what happens. I mean, we experienced it couple days ago at UVA baseball game. We were able to go.
We were lucky to go see UVA play Liberty, and it was a one-sided affair. Thankfully for the good side.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, if it's going to be a one-sided affair, you want it to be your team. So it was a good win. We got to see, was it 4 or 5 homers? It was a nice.
Well, they hit 1, so I guess if you count them, so
they hit 2.
They hit 2. Okay, so but we saw 4 home runs.
4 on our side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we saw one kid. I think hit his first for the year.
Yes.
Right? And then we saw Henry Ford go deep and Sake, what's his name? Sauke, yeah. I think they went back to back from correct.
So it was pretty cool game.
Yeah.
Beautiful, just be outside, see all the families.
I mean, you've talked about it many times too. The UVA offense is very impressive. I mean, it seems like routinely they're scoring 10 to 12 runs a game. I mean, we saw them win 14-4. Yeah. It was a mercy rule.
It's always an exciting game. Let's put it this way with them. Because they're either going to win 14-4 or they're going to lose 17-14.
Well, it'll be a high-scoring game, pretty much.
Exactly.
One way or the
You're
other.
really not going to see UVA lose 3-0. Let's put it that way. That's probably not going to happen.
And they're probably not going to win 4-2 either.
No, probably not that either.
Yeah.
We saw 6-2, I think, earlier this season. That's probably as close as you're going to get to a normal score.
Yeah, but it's really fun. Anyone should really go kind of watch the team. They're hitting like crazy. The weather's nice.
It's family friendly. It's a great atmosphere. It's a lot of fun. It's not crazy expensive. And people who have used to the price of Yankee Stadium tickets. Yeah, I mean you're not. I mean
we
close.
get there's $6 to go to bleachers.
And then
I just can't stand those people who sneak and get better seats later into the game because they're empty. I can't stand those kind of people.
Awful,
They should be banned from games.
We won't name names.
Yeah, exactly.
We won't name names. But that was a lot of fun. The concert, the symphony we had on Ben Rouse from Charlottesville Symphony last week to talk about this weekend's concerts. Beautiful, fantastic concert.
I mean, you cannot talk about it without mentioning the bolero at the end.
Yes,
it was really creative and inventive and exciting just to kind of see. He had a bunch of solo performers for the flute, the jazz quartet.
Quintet. Was there 5 of them? How many were there?
No, you're right. There's 5.
Yeah.
No.
Piano, bass. No, trumpet and saxophone is a quartet. Oh, drums.
And the drums.
Yeah. So it was 5. It was the jazz quintet playing their part of bolero.
Yes.
And then the fantastic
solo performers. You had one on the flute, another one sort of like a cymbal drum set. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Interesting.
On the cajon with the cymbals. Well, she was doing the cajon with one hand,
and then the cymbals on the other. It's very impressive. And it was a great job too because it introduces kind of first in a normal bolero, if you've ever heard that song, kind of like symphonic way, right? And then he gives a couple of the solo performers the chance to kind of go the saxophone, the flutist, and then suddenly it kind of goes, the jazz quintet takes over. Yeah. And for a nice 5 minutes, they're kind of doing their variations on the bolero theme, and then kind of he goes right back into the symphony, so you get that bombastic ending.
Well, with the ending, and although everyone was in on the ending,
of course, just there. So I did like too the little playful job between the drummer from the quintet and then the What's the name
the main timpanist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it was
back
kind
and
of
forth.
Yeah, the little back and forth. That was really fun.
No, just beautifully well done. And he arranged that, so he did a fantastic job. Ben arranging.
I mean, especially because I don't think anyone's probably ever done that with Bolero before, so he didn't have any basis to go off of.
Absolutely.
He had to kind of make it up himself.
Yeah, so it was beautifully done. And I think there's still, if you missed it in Charlottesville and you happen to have family or you know people up in Northern Virginia, I think the one on Tyson's Corner on the 28th at Capital One Hall, that will be this concert. Will be also
Tyson's
playing.
Corner, is that the one that you pass by if you're taking like the 95, like we go to New York?
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah, it's up by Northern Virginia.
That's a big area.
Capital One Hall is up there for the Northern Virginia campus for UVA, I think. So that it will be up there this coming weekend. So you have one more chance to see it if you missed it this weekend at UVA.
We could go see it again.
You could go see it again. You absolutely could. You could. So be sure to check that out if you're interested.
It was worth it. Even just for Bolero, but not only that, I mean, they had a great quintet, had a wonderful jazz performance. The flutist had a beautiful performance, as well as the other, I keep forgetting the other cymbalist that
the cajon and the other.
Exactly, yeah.
Absolutely. And again, I mean, this is the kind of thing, though, also like, you can't hear these things on recordings. Like, so this is not the beauty of this type of performance is like this is like once in a lifetime kind of stuff, because you can't just go to a music store and buy a recording of the jazz quintet that plays at Miller's downtown at 10 p.m. at night and is playing in this concert.
Yeah.
Right? You can't just go to it. Like you're not going to go see this Bolero anywhere. This version of Bolero, this is probably your one chance to actually see it, because you can't just routinely go see this version of Bolero. So it's worth doing. It's worth taking the time to do. Yeah, April 28th, 3 p.m. at Tyson's Corner.
Got it.
Virginia. So be sure to check that out. Definitely encourage people to do it. Of course, everyone should send us any questions, comments, like, and share today's...
Was that my job? You pointed at me.
Oh, no, just...
Okay, that was usually Xavier's job, yeah.
Well, I'm not going to make you do the
okay, well, you pointed at me. I wasn't sure what I missed.
I'm just used to it. It's just old habits die hard. Old habits die hard. All right, got a couple people joining us this morning. Sherry Jarvis Zimmerman, thanks for tuning in this morning. Appreciate it. I love all our fantastic guests tuning in. A couple more liking it. Rodney Rush, Maurice Williams, thanks for tuning in this morning. Appreciate your support for the show and for our guests today. Of course, love being here on the I Love CVille Network. Couple of thanks before we get going here. Thank you, of course, to Emergent Financial Services for being our presenter and for our fantastic partners at Matthias Realty, Craddock, Sirius Insurance, Forward, Adelante. Thanks for you for always
happy to be
hosting
here,
with me this morning. And I don't know about you, but I'm good to jump into today's guest.
Let's go.
All right, so we are excited to welcome to the show this morning Nerycel Martinez. She is from CubaMex. She, I think, is the safety manager at CubaMex, but also her parents she's owner with her parents there. So we're really excited. Thanks for coming on this morning.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
No, we're really excited to bring you on, because I mean it shares two things which we both love, which is Cuban food
and Mexican
food. So maybe tell us a little bit about your parents' story and how, because your mom is from Cuba,
yes, and
your dad is from Mexico.
Yeah.
So tell us about maybe how they met and came together to start this.
Well, my mom, she came here in 1980. She came from Placeta, Cuba, on the Mariel. My dad, he came here when he was 18 years old. He's from San Luis Potosí. And they met here at the mall, actually, in Fashion Square.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, my dad was a pizza maker at Sbarro's, and my mom walked in, and that's that.
Wow. What a story. That's a great story.
So how did that work? Did your dad make a special pizza for your mom? Is that what happened?
He was just in the middle of doing his thing, and she walked in, and he
attached his number to the pizza box, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's beautiful. I mean, go in for a slice of pizza, come out with true love.
Exactly.
So how did they met and then they got together. How did sort of the idea to start CubaMex come from?
Well, I guess they both always have had a passion for cooking, and they're really good cooks, I'm not gonna lie. I guess my mom she's always wanted to have some sort of food truck, some sort of business where she can just show everybody how well she bakes. She used to So baked goods like cakes, she does flan, she does tres leches, all of that, yeah. And that started off like a little bit small business through Facebook. And then we just decided, we saw a food truck for sale. We were like, So they went ahead and bought it, and then we just set everything up. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Taking the plunge, like taking the risk and going for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what are some specialties? Like what are some things people to look forward to?
Definitely the empanadas. We have chicken empanadas, beef empanadas. They're definitely our best sellers as well. I will say my mom, she has like a weekly dessert that she sells. For this week, we're going to have a pineapple upside down cake.
Oh,
yeah. And the menu changes weekly, but I would say just to... she has her Facebook and all of her information, everything like the menu, where we're going to be, everything's there.
Is there? Fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's really easy. Yeah, really easy to find too. Because I think on Facebook, it's just literally it's CubaMex LLC. Yeah. So it is what it sounds like. So out of curiosity, does she fry the empanadas or bake them?
She fries them. Yeah.
That's how it's got to be done, the perfect way.
Yeah, and the dough and everything is just made out of, it's fresh.
Oh, man.
Yeah, homemade everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gotta be so good.
And what about the inside? Does she make it almost kind of like a picadillo or kind of like a different chopped meat?
She uses picadillo
for
the beef. The chicken, it's like shredded chicken with like tomato sauce, tomato puree. Yeah. And that's basically, we just use that meat for our other dishes as well.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of picadillo. For those who haven't had it, it's like, well, at least I know everybody makes it differently, but at least where we learned from our abuelita, you've got it's like a chopped meat with at least we had raisins, olives. Little tomato.
Exactly.
You've got your cumin, your spices, your Cuban spices. So it's almost like a Cuban
I always call
version.
it Cuban chili. That's kind of
like a Cuban chili
way of putting it.
Essentially.
Yeah,
So the beauty, it's so versatile because you can have it by itself. You can have it with your black beans and white rice. You can have it inside an empanada.
Exactly.
Which is super good.
One time, my mom and dad made it for me in a way like my abuelita would do every once in a while with leftovers. She actually made it with pasta. It was an interesting combination. It wasn't my favorite. I still prefer it with like black beans and rice. To me, that's like the perfect. But it was kind of interesting to have it on top of pasta. I'm like, what is this? But it was an interesting mix. But I guess that's one way if anyone ever wants.
Exactly.
Your next dish, you can tell me pasta. Make an Italian one too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, our abuelita, she was Cuban. She was born in Cuba, but raised in Spain, so in northern Spain. So they would do a lot of pasta there. So she just kind of like mixed stuff.
Yeah.
That she was like, oh, well, I have leftover pita. What do I do with it? I'll just put it in pasta and see what happened. Dr. Elizabeth Urpí watching the show this morning. Thanks for tuning in. She loves picadillo as well.
Yes.
I can
Who
attest.
does? And then the flan.
Who doesn't?
Oh my gosh, my mom's flan is the best. Oh my goodness. I honestly don't like flan. If it doesn't come from her, I will not eat it.
You want to eat it?
No.
Is it the texture?
Yeah, it's the texture thing for me.
Interesting, yeah. I have that problem. I love flan, but I have that problem with arroz con leche. You ever had that?
The arroz con leche, yeah.
Arroz con leche. For some reason, I love the taste, but the texture of the rice.
Just the rice, yeah. It's like crunchy, kind of, yeah.
It's like gooey kind of in a way, and I'm kind of like, it feels awkward like to eat rice, but it's sweet. I'm like, rice isn't a dessert. Why is it in here?
Yeah.
The flan, does she make, because I know Mexican flan, I've had both. Mexican flan tends to be a little thicker than Cuban flan. Does she make it like the Cuban style?
Yeah, the Cuban, and then you can see the caramel literally dripping off
that's the best
piece, yeah.
You don't know how we fight over that caramel at the end.
Because
my dad loves it.
He eats it with a spoon. Like he'll just like drip the caramel. And
yeah, exactly. It's the best. Yeah.
That's my mom makes a delicious one too, but that's only ever complaining from once. I'm like, you didn't make enough caramel. There's not enough.
And that's a true talent to do that because that is hard.
It is. It's very difficult.
That's, to be honest, sometimes that's the hardest part.
Yeah, it's really nice though to come into the food truck and just smell fresh like sugar. It's caramel. It's caramel. It's so good.
Is that a mainstay, or do you have to get the right weekend for the flan?
No, we have to get the right weekend.
Okay,
So
we have to look up to find out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because she changes. Like
the dessert part.
Yeah, the dessert part. No, the menu as well. Sometimes.
The menu as well.
Yeah, sometimes she'll add like camarón, which is like shrimp, shrimp cocktail.
Ooh.
She also wants to do start putting like la medianoche, which is another type of Cuban sandwich.
Oh, that's
and we're in the
medianoche, yes. Oh, that's it. Because it's for those who've had like a Cuban sandwich. It's like a Cuban sandwich, but the bread is different. And like, I think it was called that. I think because they would literally have it like you get hungry. Like, in other words, you've partied so long that you're now hungry again. And medianoche is midnight. That you were like, I'm hungry again. And I had it once in Miami, and it's good. It's like a sweeter, slightly sweeter bread.
Exactly.
Oh, that would be awesome if she could get them medianoche.
Yeah, that's what we're in the process of doing.
Oh, very, very much so. Oh, man.
Do we have to come at midnight or like early morning to get it? Or
I mean, we start at 11 o'clock every Saturday and Sunday. And usually we are open until supplies last, which is very quickly. We say 6, but like by 4:35 we have no food left.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yes, if you want to basically plan for lunch.
Yeah.
If you plan for dinner, you might be too late. So be sure to plan for lunch. So what's it been like? Because you also help out there. I mean, you're in charge of making sure everybody is nice and safe, which is fantastic. What's it like being in like an entrepreneur family, being an entrepreneur, owning a small business?
It's actually really fun. I mean, I feel like it's a great way for us to spend some time together. Since I'm like a college student, I'm never home. So it's nice to have at least a weekend with them that I can, help them get to their goals, expand the business. It's really nice. And everybody's so friendly. It's nice to meet new faces and see reoccurring customers because people come like once or twice like the whole week. Yeah.
I would imagine. That doesn't surprise me.
And what do you do as a safety manager?
Well, what I do, I'm just in charge of basically making sure that all the food is served at the correct temperature, that nobody gets sick, that the truck is sanitized and cleaned properly. I also make sure that we have all of our supplies on hand. I make sure that we keep stocks. Yeah, so all the supplies that we have, we're just going to make sure that we have them with us and that everything's kept at a good temperature.
Wow, it sounds like almost like you're your parents' boss or something like that. That wasn't clean enough, Dad. Clean that again.
That's what it feels like sometimes, and they're like, okay, you're the manager.
That's fantastic. And I think that's one of the beauties of entrepreneurship that a lot of people that we talk to that come on kind of, it's especially with a family business, it's an opportunity to do something, build something together as a family. That's what we do. Our day job is a family business.
Oh, yeah.
With our dad. And so, and the other brother that
except we don't boss our dad around.
Yeah, we don't boss around. Yeah. The other brother that we don't mention, we don't talk about too much.
He's still, it might be adopted. It's still up in the air.
Yeah,
we're not sure.
Exactly.
We'll get proof.
But it's just, there's that enjoyable nature of building something and growing something together as a family, even though, like you said, sometimes, someone may have to go to college during the week or may have to do something else during a weekday. Obviously, at some point you get old enough, you no longer all live in the same house, right? But it's a way to build something together, and it has that fantastic freedom to do that.
Yeah. That for sure. And most of our funds, they actually go towards my little brother's autism therapies. Oh. Yeah, he was diagnosed at 3 with PDD and OS, which is like a high functioning type of autism.
Okay.
And it goes towards like his motor function therapies, his speech therapies, everything just goes towards him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's the beauty of helping out.
Yeah.
Taking care of each other as a family through something that you love, which is food.
Yeah.
To cooking and sharing that with other people.
Yeah.
A couple other shout out to Lucrecia Morales from Sombreros watching the show this morning. Rosalia Clodar from New York tuning in this morning. Thank you both so much for watching. Nick Urpí has a question. He says, all right, what are some of the common places, locations where you guys will be?
Okay, so I know for sure that this upcoming weekend we're going to be in Ruckersville on Seminole Trail where the Shell is, right before the Walmart. Yeah. Usually we're either in Fork Union, right before the Academy. We're also in Gordonsville and at the Patch Brewery.
At Patch, okay.
And we're sometimes in Troy, right before the Walmarts. I think it's it's 1301.
Okay, Zion's Crossroads area?
Yeah, Zion's Crossroads area. Yes.
Zion's Crossroads area, yep. Also, very easy. Any markets or right now just certain pop-up?
No, just certain pop-up places,
Got it. That's awesome. Where, out of curiosity, where do you guys kind of see, what might be next for CubaMex? What would you love to see?
I think my dad is in the process of wanting another food truck.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
so I think what we're going to do is my mom might get certified as a manager, so I don't have to be with them. And I run the other food truck.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You can do the cooking too?
Yeah.
Wow.
Have you learned?
Yeah.
What would you say that what's your favorite thing to make? That
Apparently,
you have learned?
the arroz con gris, which is the white rice with the black beans cooked together to the point where it taints the rice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting how you. Yeah, yes. Yeah, it's funny. Our wedding that growing up, we just learned it. We just called it con gris.
Con gris?
That's it. They didn't even put arroz. they just said con gris. And it's like, what was that again?
I know some people call it like moros y cristianos.
Cristianos.
Yeah.
Yep, moros y cristianos. Yeah, so you mix it all together. Yeah. Oh, that's very good.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And it's mixed together. Yeah, it has a great. Just a great.
Have you learned how to do ropa vieja yet?
Oh my gosh, it's so difficult.
Yeah.
Because you have to like shred the meat so thinly, and it's just like a timely process. But I'm learning. Yeah.
I'm in a rush. It's like every once in a while, your favorite Cuban dishes come up in your head.
But when my mom makes it, it does not even last a week in the house.
I can imagine. It goes quickly.
Yeah.
And then the tres leches must be out of this world.
Oh my goodness.
Because already the Mexicans already make good tres leches, and then Cubans make good tres leches. So if you put it together,
it's just it's the best of both worlds. I'm saying, hers is really good. Like you can literally see when you cut into the piece, just all the milk and stuff coming out. Oh,
does she use a whipped cream on top or like a merengue?
She uses both. Sometimes it just depends on what she's feeling.
Yeah. I've seen it both ways.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
Knowing your mom and that she's Cuban, she probably puts a little extra can of condensed milk in there.
Oh, yeah, because she knows. Yeah, she knows like it's sweet.
Exactly.
I feel like condensed milk is like one of these staples.
Yeah.
The leche condensada is one of these staples of Cuban dessert.
In general, yeah.
You could just eat it out of the can. Man, it's like my mom would be like, who wants the leftover in the can? And we're all running. It's like...
Yeah.
And then some people boil it too, just like the can, and they eat it like that
That's
as well.
what my
Abuelita was famous for that. Yeah. In fact, when she would make... I don't know how sanitary this is, so you probably wouldn't do it in a restaurant, but when she would make, when she would soak cook her black beans in the pot, she would stick the can of leche condensada in with the beans to boil it at the same time. She would 2 times. This way, and then you would take it out, you'd have dulce de leche.
Oh my god!
And I'm like, I sit there and I'm like, I don't know that I would cook my black beans with a can of condensed milk, closed, a sealed can of condensed milk. But I guess in the 1930s, she was, what was she born, 1930 something?
No, she was born 1920 something.
Yeah, 1920 is what I'm saying. Yeah. 1920, just growing up in that era in Cuba, she must have been like,
yeah, 2 and 1.
They tasted good, so it must have been fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
but yeah, some people she would boil it and turn it into dulce. They called it dulce de leche.
Dulce de leche, yeah.
Once they were done with that, oh man. Bill McChesney tuning in this morning. Thanks for watching the show this morning, Bill. Appreciate everyone who's tuning in, just checking in. But we got a lot of people bringing in the viewers, which is awesome, which we really appreciate. So tell us. So if people, the location shifts. We talked about Patch Brewery, Rutgersville sometimes,
Walmart at Zion's,
the Zion's Crossroads area. Where should people go to find out where you're going to be and what the menu for that weekend might be and so forth? So
on CubaMex LLC, it's our Facebook page. My mom will post weekly reminders of what we're going to have for that week. As long as, she puts the menu and she puts all the items down. We do have gluten-free options and vegetarian options as well.
Oh,
and she'll
fantastic.
Emphasize which is which. Just on her Facebook, she'll tell you where we're going to be.
Fantastic.
She tells people to call her all the time. I guess she just likes talking to people. But she's like, you guys could call me, I'll tell you where I'm going to be for that week. So.
Old-fashioned, that's how it is.
That's classic. Yeah, so CubaMex LLC, very easy. If you go to Facebook.com, and I'm pretty sure if you type in CubaMex LLC, you will find it. Yeah, heck, you could even do like I did and accidentally type CubaMex LCC, and you will still find it. It'll still be there. But yeah, first thing that pops up when you type in CubaMex LLC on Facebook, and you even got it's super easy. It's even got pictures of the pineapple.
Don't look too much.
Cake.
You can get hungry.
It's too late. I looked at the upside down pineapple page, and it looks good. And then that is like a little picture of the menu that you can see for and where they're going to be. So be sure to check it out. Facebook.com. Just type in CubaMex LLC. Nerycel, this has been such a pleasure.
Oh, thank you guys so much.
No, thank you so much for coming on, and we look forward to having you back. Maybe next time you'll be managing a food truck. And we'll see you then.
Thank you guys so much.
So thanks so much, and we're glad you're in the neighborhood bringing some great Cuban and Mexican food to us.
Thank you.
Have a great one.
You too. Thank you.
All righty. So we'll go ahead and rotate out here. Oh man, so
I know. Makes me kind of get hungry.
Absolutely. I know. I'm already hungry. I'm gonna have to go check. Nit is gonna share the page too. So if you're watching the show, Nit is gonna put the page in the comments, and he's gonna share it on Today Mañana, so you can be sure to check out CubaMex.
I gotta find out when they got the flan. That's
yes. So whatever the flan date is,
exactly.
Nice
Circle it.
Circle that. So. Just so awesome. Really appreciate it.
It's so wonderful to see all the entrepreneurs that pop up in this area. And ones that, again, it's like credit to Nick for finding these wonderful people. Yeah. I mean, really, I don't even know how.
He does a great job.
I don't even know how.
I think this one might be, he'll correct me if I'm wrong, this one might be also a credit to our friend Virgil Velasco. From Story House Realty. I think he had heard of it and may have passed it on to Nick.
Got it.
Nick will correct me if I'm wrong, but we love Virgil anyway. Yeah. Even if he didn't send us this.
Exactly.
He is a great fellow Cuban here in Charlottesville, doing great work helping people with finding their new home. So so we always appreciate Virgil. He's a great friend of ours. So always appreciate that.
And I know you wanted to talk a little finance before we kind of head out.
Yes, absolutely. We got a little finance topic for today. Not quite as like happy. Nick says correct. That is correct. Credit Virgil. So our good friend Virgil Velasco. Thanks for giving us that info.
Exactly.
Giving us that tip. Great tip. Yeah, just wanted to talk a little finance. I think just to kind of reiterate, because we did a lot of people come into the office, and they're always like that kind of dichotomy between Main Street and Wall Street, in the sense that people are like, man, I keep hearing that things are okay, but I'm not seeing this reflected in my life. My finances are tough. I'm seeing it. And just to kind of reassure people, like, you're not imagining this, right? You're not imagining tough times.
Were you saying the media might not be telling the truth?
I mean, let's face it. Anyone who's been in finance knows that do not get your stock market tips from the TV channels.
You mean that guy Jim Cramer? Or
the Jim Cramer is a classic one. We know some people who will do the opposite of whatever Jim Cramer says. But in general, without naming names of what channels they are, do not get your stock market tips from those channels, right? The key thing, I think, for people to kind of keep in mind, because what happens is economists, and also this goes to show you that when it comes to the markets or even the economy as a whole, right, you can't really just base your decisions on where economists think is going to happen. Because economists can be all over the place. And a good example is the recent GDP numbers. So it came out today, first quarter GDP. Economist predictions, 2.4%. Actual number, 1.6. Much lower than estimated, right? Same thing happened with PCE, index personal consumption expenditure. That's the Federal Reserve's inflation number. People have probably often heard of CPI, consumer price index. That's one measure of inflation. The Federal Reserve uses another measure of inflation called PCE. And this one, again, was higher than expected, 3.4%.
It's a year over year?
That's an annualized pace, so it's another. Annualized. If you took the quarter and multiplied it by 4, it's 3.4%.
Got it.
Its biggest gain in a year. So inflation is higher than expected. GDP lower than expected. And the reason I say this is because it goes to show you that economists really do not have crystal balls, let alone stock market pickers. In other words, if you imagine how hard it is, in other words, if economists can be wrong about how the economy, the entire economy even grew, imagine how hard it is for someone to be right about what direction a particular stock is going to go in the next 3 weeks, right? So the key thing is that it's really not, you're never going to be able to time the market or the economy. it's so hard to predict, even for people who basically their livelihood, their job as an economist is to predict things. And even that is difficult for them to do, despite MBAs, PhDs, training, experience. It is very difficult to predict the direction that things are going to go.
But this has always been personal opinion. I mean, if these people were so good at picking stocks, they wouldn't be on TV telling you what stocks to be picking. They would be living in a giant villa in Italy or something like that, because they'd already be rich because they would already picked all the winners. They wouldn't be telling you what winners to pick.
Exactly. Yeah. It's true. They'd be billionaires already.
Exactly. They'd already be billionaires.
Directly predicted. That's an excellent point. And so the thing to keep in mind is what you really need to do when you are saving money for retirement is just be steady and keep saving, keep investing, knowing that the one thing that we can feel pretty good about is that over a very, very long period of time, the economy tends to grow. In other words, could the economy stink for 10 years? Yes. Is the United States economy going to shrink for 40 years? No. Yeah. Right? Because as long as people grow, as long as you have people like Nerycel and her family starting businesses, there is growth. The human being produces natural growth, right? It may not happen over 1 year. It may not happen over 5. In really bad scenarios, it might not happen for 10. But over 20, 30, 40 years, there will be growth, net growth. So you just have to be slow and steady, and you can't be worrying yourself, right, about, what direction is it going to go? Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I sell everything? Should I buy now? You can't worry about that. What you need to just know is what's the level of risk that I can afford to take, and that's the level of risk you take. Talk with someone, get good advice on what is the level of risk. And the level of risk isn't should I be in or out of the market. The level of risk is what kind of stocks in general should I be in? What kind of bonds? How risky should my portfolio be? Not should I save or not. That's not a risk question. Saving or not, because inflation is eating away your money. So to save or not to save is not a risk question. You should be saving. The risk question is, what do I do with my savings? And that's really the key.
And also there was the GDP number that had come out, and I was curious your thoughts, because I just thought this right now. The market had a really good start. I'd say January, February, maybe even into March. I mean, it might have been up 7 to 8%. There seems to have been a slight correction since then, and I'm curious whether your thoughts about.
The market is reacting badly to this number.
I know, I saw that because I could see that on when Jerry's got this TV on here.
Red, there's a lot of red. Dow Jones down around 1.7, S&P 500 down around 1.3. Over 1% in a day is a big move.
Yeah.
For people to get an idea of that. Like, you may not be used to the number values, but over 1% movement in a day is big. So they're sliding on the basis of this news. The question is, it's always so tough to know what the stock market will do versus the economy, because as we've seen, right, we had very slow growth in the 2010s, and yet the stock market did very well because the Federal Reserve cut interest rates, and that was good for the stock market. They were able to borrow and buy back their own stock.
With this inflation number, I was about to say, are they going to cut interest rates?
And they afford to cut rates. That's why we're kind of entering that tricky picture where I think you do need to be cautious in this sense, that you should not be taking more risk than your situation allows. In other words, if you are sitting there saying, I am 5 years away from retirement, my risk profile is be conservative, right? You shouldn't be betting bigger because you think things are going to be hunky-dory, right? You need to actually follow your picture. Now, if you're 20 years old, should you be pulling out of the market because of my time? No, you have 40 years.
Well, can I ask you a question? So let's say you were coming in, let's say your 30s or 40s, you come in the market and you had some money to invest. How would you, now you can't do a theoretical advising for that, but would you caution someone to be a little more aggressive? Let's say they say they want to be very aggressive in the S&P 500. Would you caution them because you're like, well, it's already been up this much?
Not necessarily on doing the S&P 500. One thing you can do is what's called dollar cost averaging. So in other words, rather than putting, let's say you're like, okay, I finally have $30,000 to invest. Rather than investing the entire chunk in the stock market at one time, you can average it out. You can say, okay, I have $30,000 over the next 9 months this year. I'm going to invest 1/9 of that at a time. The theory being, sometimes that might be high, sometimes it might be low as it fluctuates.
But you're avoiding the peaks and valleys.
You're avoiding the possibility that you put it all in and then the next day is when it goes down. Now, over a long period of time, they have not necessarily found the dollar cost averaging is that much better than just putting everything in on the first day of the year, right? But it's a method to be a little more comfortable, right? Now, if you're just starting out and you don't have a chunk, you're saying, okay, I want to save $500 a month, right? Just do that. As you put in the $500, invest it. Because you're by nature, you're automatically averaging out. But I wouldn't necessarily say, in other words, if your risk tolerance is aggressive, I wouldn't say no, be medium because of where the market is. Because the reason you're aggressive is because you probably have a 40-year period to get it back, right? If you're in your mid to 30s to 40s, by nature, you're already going to be less aggressive. Like, in other words, you shouldn't be in the most aggressive portfolio if you're 37. But already you should be in a growth portfolio, but not the most aggressive. So your age is already making you be less aggressive. So you don't need... Where I would counsel someone is if someone has a personality that's aggressive, that they're like, I don't care that I'm 40, I want to be really aggressive. We would probably caution them, this is not the time for you to be more aggressive than your profile would suggest. This is the time to follow what your age might suggest, which is be aggressive, be growth-oriented, but not super aggressive. And then dollar cost averaging is always a possibility.
Got it.
For people. So that would be my 2 cents based on this. You know what I mean? We're definitely in some tricky times. And if you were going to the grocery store and saying, I'm having trouble making ends meet, and then you turn on the TV and some talking head is saying that everything is fine.
Listen, I mean, you just go grocery shopping. It feels like prices they certainly haven't come down. And sometimes it doesn't feel like they're even staying stable. They're continuing to go up. Yeah. Even just a little bit. And number two, I mean, we noticed the other day, too, we were getting bread somewhere. I'm not going to say where and what the bread, but it was very clear. I'm like, these rolls are smaller now. Yeah. And you are definitely starting to see shrinkflation kind of affect.
And that's a natural response. What happens is, let's face it, companies, there is a known thing where people will buy less of something if they see that the price has gone up.
Well, I mean, the prices, it feels like in certain cases, the prices of some foods and goods have gone up like 25%.
So in other words, if you're a company, right, and you're buying, let's say you're buying the materials that go into bread. And the materials that go into bread, flour, milk, eggs, right, all this stuff is up 20%. You're not going to go raise the price of your bread 20%. You will have, your sales will suffer. So what you do is say, I can't raise the price 20%. I have to make the bread smaller and charge the same price. And it's not because you're greedy. It's because, and we know this because the producer price index. So the consumer price index tells you what inflation is for the consumer. When I go to the store, how much more expensive is the stuff that I buy? The producer price index, PPI, tells you when the store goes and buys flour, eggs, and stuff to make the bread, what inflation are they seeing? The producer price index is up a lot. In other words, it's not as though you just have a bunch of companies that are imagining it and they're like, oh, good, let me just jack up prices 20% for no reason. If they're increasing prices because their prices are also increasing. In other words, the things that they are buying, and you just see this in the store, right? Think about it. If you go to the store and eggs are more expensive, well, the guy who makes the bread is buying the same eggs as you. Yeah. Right? So if eggs are 9% more expensive, his bread is going to have to be 9% more expensive. And if it's not 9% more expensive, he's going to have to shrink the price of the bread. So we've been seeing that. Shrinkflation isn't a greed thing. It's a way for a company to say, my prices went up 10%, but I cannot charge that much more.
Well, the problem is they've already gone up. I think that's the issue that these companies are facing. We've already had to raise it 10, 20%.
I can't keep raising the price because people will not buy it.
People are already getting to the point where it's like, this is getting too expensive. Yeah. I'm not sure I can afford this.
It's a psychological thing. At a certain point, a company says, I have to try shrinking it because if I keep raising the price, people will not buy my product. And that's what happens. Yeah. You see it, restaurants have to do that sometimes. If you've been to a restaurant lately and maybe they, instead of 3 pieces of something, they only gave you 2, right? That's because they're sitting there saying, if I raise the price, people will not come. but I cannot leave the price the same or I will lose money.
Yeah.
And so therefore I have to shrink the amount. It's the same as raising prices. It's just they try to do both things to have less of a psychological impact on the consumer. So that's what we're seeing. So you're not imagining it. It's a tricky time. Mm-hmm. It's been a while since we've seen slowing GDP growth along with inflation at the levels that we're seeing now.
Yeah.
And it may persist. I mean, it's impossible to know. I can't tell you that it'll magically fix itself next quarter. It might, but it might not. So that's kind of where we are. On a positive thing, if you're looking for some food that is less expensive, this is a good week because it's burger week.
Burger week, that's right.
It is burger week, and the $8 burger is back.
Very good.
In Charlottesville. So
last year we were lucky. We had gone for burger week. We went to Guajiros. And they had absolutely delicious burger.
I think they have that one this year as well.
Yeah, with the guava barbecue sauce.
The guava barbecue sauce, the caramelized onions, and the queso frito.
Yes, queso frito.
Fried cheese was really good. This year, I mean, a lot of them look good. I mean, the Bebedero one with the
Chihuahua cheese.
Yeah, the Chihuahua cheese looked good. The poblanos. There was the South and Central with the braised brisket on top with Argentine provolone.
I know Jack Brown's had the Wagyu beef one.
Yeah, with theirs was super loaded.
Yeah.
A super loaded Jack Brown one.
So there's a lot of options. And when does it end?
It ends, it's this week, so it ends this weekend. So
by Sunday?
Let's see, I'm looking it up now. So CVille Burger Week, it's April 22nd to the 28th. So your last day is going to be... is that a Sunday?
Sunday, probably.
Sunday the 28th is going to be the last day to participate. And a bunch of people participating. You got Ralph Sanson's American Tap Room, Beer Run, Guajiros, of course, South and Central, Jack Brown's, The Nook, Moe's Barbecue. That's where we first learned about it. Moe's looked good, too. Had a great burger. Revolutionary Soup. You got... Matchbox, Boiling Heights, so you got a bunch of places.
Yeah, a lot of options to go for burger.
A lot of options. You can see CVille. It's actually so weird. C-Ville, so CVille with the dash between the C and the Ville, burgerweek.com.
Pretty.
In fact, if you type CVille Burger Week on Google, you get there. So be sure to check that out, especially because, let's face it, a Five Guys burger is up to $20 with the fries and stuff. That was in the news. In other words, burgers in general are probably ranging now between $12 and $20. I don't want to pitch on Five Guys. Everybody,
everyone's burger
is between $12 and $20.
How long were we growing up that McDonald's and Burger King had basically $1, $1.50 like Big Mac? It's gone now.
Yeah.
It's like
so. In other words,
it lasted like that for 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
It was like that.
Most gourmet burgers in Charlottesville, you're running 12 to 20.
Yeah.
Right, so an $8 burger week is a very good deal for the
for sure.
For the pocketbook.
And it's a different burger than you get.
And a special burger.
The special. They're making it really, really good and as interesting as they can. So.
Exactly. So be sure to check that out. It's clever. The hashtag is Meet Me in CVille, but meat is spelled MEAT. So a nice a little
pun. Corny, but we'll let it slide.
Yeah, corny but good. Let me double check here. Let's see if we got any comments. Nick Urpí has put in our comment section some good stuff to some comments about where you can find information.
Got it.
Xavier has a couple of finance things. Sorry I missed this, Xavier. I didn't pop up. I
didn't even know he was watching the show.
Neither did I. But he's saying people are struggling more to save, and according to the Treasury Department, we spent $429 billion on interest payments alone in last year, 240%. So
does that include mortgages and credit card debt or stuff like
and Xavier's saying GDP really isn't the big issue. It's the inflation number and the borrowing by the government about $1 trillion every 100 days. So that's what's contributing a huge deal to inflation. It's like Milton Friedman said, inflation is too much money chasing too few goods, no matter how you slice it. So it's a big number. And unfortunately, of this GDP number, I think government spending was the biggest piece once again. So that is Travis Hatworth watching the show this morning says, "Way to make everyone hungry." I know, sorry about that, Travis.
We had the CubaMex.
Between CubaMex and the Burger Week. I know, unfortunately, I've done it to myself, too. I've made myself hungry.
Well, anytime I hear about flan, I already begin to get hungry.
Yeah, exactly. So our apologies to all our great viewers. Yeah, Travis saying a gourmet burger down in Danville will cost you $14 to $20. So $8 is a great deal. Absolutely. Yeah. So it's
I still sometimes can't wrap my head around the burger. Like I go to the place and it's just kind of like a
world.
burger. It's like, $14. And I'm like,
yeah. What? Burger used to be that thing that, like, when you were on a menu, when you were going out to dinner, and you're like, oh man, I don't feel like paying $15, so you would find the burger that was like $9 or something, and now it's
even
like, oh man,
I mean, $9 even feels like a lot. It's like $6 or $7. I mean,
I know. Now it's like, now you're lucky. Now if you find the $14 burger, you're like, oh man, that's a steal.
It feels that way.
Yeah, exactly. So the $8 is so Travis, you'll just have to drive on up here to Charlottesville for the weekend and enjoy a
nice
good burger
and
save yourself
$6.
Yeah, I mean, you might lose it. The gas cost might get you there.
Another thing that's been going
on. It'll be worth it to have the burger. So exactly. Absolutely. So, but thanks for tuning in. He's a great, I'd say Travis is a great advocate for all the wonderful growth happening down in Danville. He's always sharing some great news about what it looks like to do economic development in a place. So he's a great advocate for that area. So we really appreciate everything that he does for his area. So that is really awesome. So always appreciate that. And really appreciate all our guests today. We had a lot of people tuning in. Elizabeth Urpí.
Which one?
With a Z.
Okay.
Elizabeth Urpí is tuning in this morning. So we appreciate all our fantastic viewers that do it, and definitely appreciate Nick for always finding some great guests for us.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which, next week he's got another great guest, F. Rivas, contractor, a local contractor, going to come on in, and join us. You'll probably
they must be busy because I mean I see construction everywhere in Charlottesville for homes, for buildings, everything.
Yeah, that hasn't
slowed down.
Hasn't slowed down. Travis was up in CVille last Thursday. So it's been a beautiful time. So definitely appreciate all our fantastic, viewers. Bill McChesney, thanks for watching the show this morning. Always appreciate that. And this was a great show.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff done. We got a nice, wonderful guest, and
we made all our guests hungry.
Exactly.
But we informed our guests where to go to satiate your hunger. Mm-hmm. So if you're hungry now, you know exactly where to go.
And it's nice to highlight some Cuban food too, because obviously. Guajiros is here, and it's wonderful that they're here. But every once in a while, you're kind of like, oh, it would be nice to know one. And now it's like, got CubaMex, so that's pretty that's pretty cool.
Now we're lucky in Charlottesville with so much great Latino food in general. Because I mean, the Guajiros that bring you some Cuban, some Nicaraguan. You got sombreros and el mariachi, bringing here the Mexican, the great Mexican food. There's a couple of great Honduran places. They have the arepas on wheels from I think it's El Salvador. Mm-hmm. So really appreciate.
We are spoiled.
That's for sure. That's for sure. I'm spoiled to have you on with me.
I'm spoiled to have you leading the show, Alex.
So appreciate that. We're spoiled to have Xavier commenting.
We're spoiled to have.
We'll leave it. We don't have to go too far.
We're spoiled to have Virgil. There we go.
Spoiled to have our great friend Virgil.
Too. We're
spoiled to have Judah Whitcower behind the camera, making us all
spoiled to have Liza
in studio, the I Love CVille Network set, which we appreciate tremendously. All our great
Are you just keep going with the spoiled? We're spoiled to have
We might run that too far.
Okay.
I'll pause on that. But we are grateful for Emergent Financial Services, our presenter, and for our amazing partners at Matthias Realty, Craddock, Sirius Insurance, Forward, Adelante. We are extremely grateful for our amazing audience. We appreciate all of you. Be sure to send us anyone that you would love to feature on the show. We love sharing the amazing entrepreneurs, small business people, and nonprofits in our community with all of you. We look forward to seeing you next week. Until that time, enjoy the beautiful weather.
Enjoy Burger Week.
Enjoy the weekend. And hasta mañana.